Donald Trump is doubling down on $2,000 stimulus checks. Let's get into it, guys. As always, if you like this content, please like and subscribe. It's looking like $2,000 stimulus checks will be coming at some point. If you take a look on your screen, headlines across the board, we have CNN, CNBC, NPR, Bloomberg. These aren't just small, The Hill, ABC News. These aren't small outlets, guys. Everyone's reporting about these $2,000 stimulus checks. These are legitimately on the board. Let's see the headlines. Trump's $2,000 tariff dividend may be a smart political move, but it would be a huge economic gamble. Trump floats $2,000 tariff rebate checks. Here's what you need to know. President Trump is proposing stimulus checks. Will the money come soon? So let's get into this. I want to show you the first headline from CNBC. Here's what you need to know about the $2,000 tariff rebate checks. And really quickly, guys, just my opinion on this. Both parties have seen stimulus checks work before. Obviously, they're popular. Obviously, they're controversial. Some people say it could cause more inflation. Some people says, "Oh, the hell with it. Who cares? Just give the people the money that they need." I personally fall in that camp. I think the government wastes an insane amount of money. They do a ton of things that cause inflation. They print money up the wazoo, which devalues your money. So, you know what? Give the people their stimulus checks. That's how I feel. So, in a series of posts on Truth Social over the weekend, President Donald Trump suggested making direct payments to Americans to cover their healthcare costs, as well as sending $2,000 checks as a tariff dividend. Economists say those ideas are not likely to become policy anytime soon. Now, the reason this would be difficult, although I do think it's actually highly likely this will happen, is because this would have to essentially pass in a budget reconciliation bill, which is what they used. It's a tool they used to do the big, beautiful bill, right? So it's basically the only major legislation that gets done every year at this point. They pack as much stuff into it, and all they need is a 51% majority in the Senate. Now, obviously, Republicans have that currently. As long as Republicans are on board for this, they could get it done. If it's before the midterms, if it's after the midterms, we're gonna have to see how things shake out with the elections. If Republicans lose their majority, they'd probably have to get a handful of Democrats on board for it. And we saw the exact same scenario back in 2021. If you guys remember when Democrats were promising a third stimulus check when Joe Biden won, but there was a lot of Senate seats up for election that year. Specifically in Georgia, there were two seats that actually went into a runoff election, and they kept promising, hey, if Democrats win both of these seats in Georgia, they'll have a majority in the Senate and they will approve the third stimulus check because they wouldn't even need Republicans, and they could essentially guarantee they could get that done. And they did, and they won, and the people voted for them, not to say just for those stimulus checks, but we all know the stimulus checks were popular, right? So Trump, he's no fool. He knows obviously that if they promise people stimulus checks, there's a good chance more people are going to vote for them. So I honestly wouldn't be surprised if they said they want to do the stimulus check after the midterm elections, which I believe are towards the end of 2026. That way they can get more votes. In their eyes, hopefully they'll win, maintain majority, and then send out those stimulus checks. Now, amid a partisan battle in Washington and a Supreme Court case over tariff powers underway, I don't think consumers should expect to see these rebate checks anytime soon. Now, the Supreme Court some judges are challenging whether or not Trump can even, you know, instate these broad tariffs on his own, because typically they have to go through Congress. He's trying to use a technicality to do so. They've allowed him to continue to do it, the Supreme Court has, but it is going to come to the courts in the next 6 months or so. So essentially, skeptics are saying, well, if the Supreme Court deems these tariffs illegal, then no stimulus checks will come. However, I actually disagree, and I mean this. Because even if the Supreme Court says, hey, you can't do these tariffs, and they take the tariffs away, I think it's highly unlikely that they're also going to say, okay, you also have to pay back this money to these countries. Because one, that would be a logistical nightmare. And two, they're letting them do the tariffs, currently. So why would they let them do the tariffs? if they're going to make them pay the money back. It doesn't make sense. And if anything, they could still send out those stimulus checks saying, hey, even if the tariffs are not in place anymore, we made 200 billion over the last year and a half. Therefore, we're going to send that money to the American people. Let's take a quick look here, guys. Let's see. The president has also floated the idea of a tariff dividend, a dividend of at least $2,000 a person, excluding high income people. Now, later that day, in an interview with ABC News, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said that he had not discussed the idea of a tariff rebate with the president and that there were no specific proposals in the works. So, typical Trump just saying things online without discussing it with his team, but it is what it is. That suggests that it is not a real or likely policy move. Uh, Brett House, economic professor at Columbia Business School. People are skeptical of stimulus checks, but again, politically, they work. People want them. So, guys, I think there actually is a genuine chance that we will get these. Now, they didn't say whether or not this would include children getting additional checks. It seems, at least as of now, no. But again, there's no official proposal in place besides the one Josh Hawley put in place about 4 months ago. And I believe that one said at least $600 per person, including kids, potentially more than 600 if the tariffs actually brought in even more money than originally expected. Now, NPR is saying Trump floats tariff dividends even while plan shows major flaws. Let's take a look here. The idea is in no way a detailed proposal, but what Trump has said about it presents multiple steep challenges for the administration. The plan may cost far more than Trump is saying, and Trump's rhetoric around tariff revenue may undermine his administration's pro-tariff arguments at the Supreme Court. In addition, his administration is already saying that the plan won't even involve direct payments to taxpayers, even while Trump continues to push that notion. So for some reason, it looks like they think that giving stimulus checks would hurt the Supreme Court case as far as him being able to do the tariffs. Again, not sure if that would actually have an implication here. Now, Trump summarized much of what he said in his tariff rebate plan, speaking with reporters on Monday. He said, and again, look, this is the president, right? And I'm going to be honest, I'm not a fan of Trump. I actually don't like him, but I am a fan of stimulus checks. He said, we're going to issue a dividend to our middle income people and lower income people of about $2,000, he said. So he's saying he wants this, right? And what have you seen over the last 5, 10 years? Republicans fall in line and do whatever the heck Trump wants, right? And he said, we're going to use the remaining tariffs to lower our debt. So there you have it, guys. He's pushing for these checks. The timeline, to be honest with you, is probably going to be long. I wouldn't be surprised if it was about a year to a year and a half. That's probably what it's looking like. But they are pushing for it, right? It's being challenged in the courts. Again, even if it gets shut down, I do still think the stimulus checks are likely to come. At the same time, that court battle is going to take about 6 months at this point. And to be honest with you, in my opinion, this could take around a year, maybe a year and a half to even come to fruition. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, guys. Are you a fan of these stimulus checks? Would you want them personally? Personally, I wouldn't even qualify for them most likely. I didn't qualify for the first three stimulus checks based off of my income, but I'm still a fan because I think the people deserve those. So, guys, let me know your thoughts. Again, please subscribe. I'm going to keep you posted as things develop here. And if you guys are having if you're unhappy with your financial situation, send me an email. Personally, I used to live paycheck to paycheck. I literally lived off ramen noodle. I know that sounds like hyperbole, but I did. And I've gone from that to literally having a net worth of $1.8 million just in the last 10 years. So I can show you, at least in my opinion, what I would do in your situation to fix your financial situation, relieve some financial stress, maybe increase income a little bit, maybe learn how to make passive income, maybe lower your bills. I've built wealth through real estate, through passive income, through stock investing. Basically, I'll give you my brain on a platter. So my email will be in the description of this video. Go ahead and shoot me an email. We can chat. It is a small fee, very small, very reasonable, but we can chat about that. And again, guys, hope you're having a great day. Please subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video.